Man, fun is in the winning. Doesn't matter how it happens. Me and Parker were joking as we walked in here. On the sheet it doesn't say like UW for ugly win or PW for pretty win or anything like that. It just says win, and a win is a win is a win. I'll take it any way we can get it. But awfully proud of our defense tonight. Thought that they were tremendous. Just from a standpoint of, I thought that their mentality towards what they had to do was incredible. I think that they kind of found out pretty early on that we were going to have to ride them a little bit tonight. That we were struggling early offensively a little bit, and they never flinched. They just kind of kept saying, "Hey, if they don't score, they can't win," and that was their mentality every time they took the field. And just I think I wound up writing down on my sheet. I keep a sheet in my back pocket. 4 instances where I thought that we had to answer the bell, and we did. Obviously not counting the last drive when we made the stop short there in the end zone. And again, short is short. It don't matter whether it's 6 inches or 60 yards. You don't cross the goal line, so it's short. So, but awfully proud of those guys. Proud of the way our offense kind of gathered themselves in the second half to find a way to do some things and put the ball in the end zone a couple of times. Really, really proud of Jacob Bell. Thought he played tremendously well tonight. He was the one with the hustle play on the turnover that wound up giving us the ball back on the touchback. Really proud of Tez Brooks. Made a lot of plays for us. Offensively tonight, I thought he played very well. And then obviously James Sappington. Good to see him back in the mix, making some plays. So proud of those guys. Really proud of Preston Rice. Preston Rice has had some things going on in his personal life this week with his brother got into a really, really bad accident beginning part of the week, and he's been dealing with that, going back and forth to Vandy all week after practice and things like that, and just really, really humbling to go through that experience with him and listen to him talk about how he just needed to be with the team, needed to be playing ball, needed to be practicing, because that was kind of his couple of hours where he didn't have to think about that stuff. And for him to come out and perform the way he did, and play well. Obviously, he didn't play great, but he played well. Very, very, very proud for that kid. So with that, I'll open it up to you guys.
Coach, the start of the first quarter and the start of the fourth quarter, magnificent offensive drives. Everything in between, including...
It looked like a train wreck in between.
And really for both teams, what do you think was the difference? EIU's good at forcing fumbles, but you've talked a lot about that discipline this week. Where do you think the fumbles came from?
We weren't playing very hard, and we don't hold on to the football in traffic. When you're a skilled guy and you break in the open, you got to run as if somebody's behind you, especially if you get held up. There's other people coming. There's other people playing ball, and it's just something that we have to understand when we're drilling those things and we're going through that stuff during the week. There's a reason for it, and if we don't look in the mirror and take a good long look at what we need to fit, we're not going to get any better at it. So the only way you get better is to realize there's an issue, and when you put the ball on the ground 5 times, lost 4 of them, put it on the ground 5 times, there better be a change from a mentality standpoint of how serious that stuff is when you're going through it at practice and all of that kind of stuff. And, and obviously, I've talked a lot about throughout the week. I've talked a lot about fault and responsibility. And it may be somebody's fault that they put the ball on the ground, but ultimately it's my responsibility. They're doing it. And it's their position coach's responsibility that they're doing it. So we got to get better, got to coach it better, got to emphasize it more, however we can do that. But we got too good of players to be wasting drives like that and giving the ball up and putting our defense in a bad spot.
You guys go up 23-10 on a very critical drive in which 2 holding penalties. You guys erase those. 3rd and 17 to Jacob Bell. He catches it, and then can you walk me through the fake punt to TJ?
Yeah,
he does a 30-yard rush that gets you guys.
He just made a tremendous play for us. It was kind of the look that we wanted, kind of not the look that we wanted, if that makes sense. There's a certain number that can be over there, and we'll call it. And if there's one more than that number, then we can't call it. And their one more than that number was kind of hanging out in the middle. And TJ just rolled the dice and made a couple of good moves, made a spin move. He always kids me. He likes running that rock. Now we put him back there at kickoff return this week, and he's a heck of an athlete, and he showed it on that play. So I thought he played tremendously well. I thought he played tremendously well on defense, tremendously well on special teams, and obviously on that particular play.
So on that big play, it's essentially his call what he sees out there.
Yeah, it's a check. I've got to I tell Coach Hunter, hey man, let's look at the check, and then once he goes on the field, it's up to him. It's up to him to check it, and we work it throughout the week, obviously, and we talk a lot about the looks, and we always play it safe. If you don't know, just punt it. In that particular situation, though, we kind of sent him on the field with the, hey, if you think it's there, call it. I felt like we needed a little bit of juice in that situation. I felt like that we needed a little bit of juice, and that was probably the not the easiest way we were going to get it, but the best way we were going to get it.
Yeah, you put up 29 points last week against a good Tech team. You guys hold them to 17 and 5 for 16 on third down. We talked about that defense. What was the emphasis this week? And Copeland has talked about a hawk-like defense. Where is this coming from, and what was the changes?
Well, it's just it's nothing new. It's the discipline of how you approach it, right? We've talked about hawk defense, swarming the football. When the ball's on the ground, it's our defense's ball, and things like that. And we just emphasized it more. We made it a discipline this week to where, hey, there's clips on on a Wednesday. We're watching Tuesday's practice, and I'm showing Samuda, right, in a team period, in a look squad period, ball goes on the ground, Samuda's jumping on the ball, right? And throughout the week, there's 5, 6, 7 clips of that ball being on the ground, even an incomplete ball, right? It's not something where you bat it down, it's incomplete, you leave it on the ground. We want to get used to picking that ball up. We want defensive players to get used to grabbing that football, holding that football, getting that football. So we just emphasize that more. We emphasize tackling more and putting yourself in a position to tackle, no matter if you're in skelly, team, individual, whatever the case may be, wrapping the ball carrier up, getting out of this shoulder punch stuff and wrapping the ball carrier up. And then we just emphasized being physical. I mean, we challenged the defensive line. Coming out for last week, we thought that we got blown off the ball. Plain and simple. So we just challenged those dudes to play football in a way that they can be proud of it. When they watch it on tape, man, be proud of the work you put in. And again, I thought that Coach Johnson, his staff, I thought they did a really nice job of getting the mentality of the defense right and focused on what they had to do, and they came out with a purpose.
First half, you guys, 21 carries, 55 yards. Third quarter alone, 4 carries, 55 yards. Was that more so just guys hitting holes, or were there special plays drawn up? What happened rushing?
Playing hard. Got our fanny whipped in the first half. Going to halftime, and there wasn't, come off the ball, running back, hit it, play side. Don't give up on it. Like, do what you're coached to do, right? Do what you're told to do, but that's only part of it. Like, doing what you're supposed to do is a small percentage of what you have to do. Doing it how you're supposed to do it, it's a completely different animal, right? And we were not doing it how we were supposed to do it. It was very soft, very, very timid, right? Giving up on runs. And we had Maz. We put Maz back in the backfield. First time this year, we put him back in the backfield because we wanted to get touches, and we wanted him to get touches, and didn't feel like we could do that enough at wideout. So there's some of that stuff that's going to happen. You know, he not used to running the zone and all that kind of stuff. But when your key says run it, play side, you got to go play side. You know, when your job is to climb to the play side backer, you got to climb to the play side backer. And when you get there, you have to be there violently. You have to do something violently. And if you don't, you can get your fanny knocked off. And basically the halftime conversation was, hey, at some point you got to get tired of getting your fanny knocked off. And they did. And they went out there, and we knew we were going to have to be able to run the football a little bit and take time off the clock because our defense was playing very, very well. You know, and we were able to do that. So, again, not pretty, but we did make the plays that we had to make offensively down the stretch to give us a chance to win the ball game.
You mentioned Savington. His first 2 catches of the season are for 6 points and 2 points, and you win by 7. How much bigger does it get? You talked about McMillan. That 32-yard gain set up Savington for his touchdown. But what's it like to have him back?
Well, he's just a big weapon, you know. He's a big weapon, and but the biggest thing, he's a team guy. That's good things happen to team people. You know, that's the bottom line. You're sitting over there and you're sulking, or you got your panties in the wad or something like that because you're not getting in. You ain't getting in. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. We had some guys at the end of that game that had to play and had to go down that last drive. There was no backup. There was no backup because the backup wasn't gonna go on the field. Because, you know, it's a hell of a thing when you score. Scoring's hard to do. Holding people, that's hard to do, right? Winning football games, hard to do. If you ain't excited about any of those 3 categories, you ain't doing it with me. Ain't doing it with me. So that's probably the biggest thing that kid brings is joy, right? He brings joy. And he plays hard because it brings joy to him to play hard. Doesn't matter whether he's getting the ball, whether he's not getting the ball, and all. And we need more than that. We need more of that. That's got to be contagious. We've got to make that infectious because that's the reason why good things happen to that kid is because he practices his fanny off. He practices the right way, and he's a really phenomenal teammate.